Hi everyone, it's Richard McMunn from the career guidance company howtobecome.com, and in this training video I'm going to give you some sample questions and answers for the RAF Airman test. I think it's a great video for those people who are preparing for the RAF Airman test. I'm going to give you some sample questions and answers. I'm going to give you some tips for preparing effectively for the test itself, and then also tell you where you can download some more practice papers so you can start working on your preparation within a couple of minutes after this video. But make sure you watch it from beginning to end. I'd also appreciate it if you do enjoy the video at the end, you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel below, and also give me some comments and feedback below this video about your experiences of the RAF Airman test. So about the test itself, now there are lots of different trades available in the Royal Air Force and they all require a different score on the Airman Selection Test. Therefore, it's really important to get the highest score possible during the test. The way to do that is to use this training video, also the free resources the RAF give you on their website, and then finally, when I give you the link to download the extra RAF Airman test practice papers, use those during your preparation time, please. So there's a number of different testing sections during the RAF Airman test, including verbal reasoning. This test determines how effectively you can interpret written information. There's a numerical test, which shows how well you interpret numerical data. There's a work rate test, which is utilised to see how fast you can work, but also how accurate your work is. There's a spatial reasoning test, which is designed to examine your ability to work with the different shapes and objects. There is also a mechanical comprehension test, which is used to assess how effectively you are able to work with different mechanical concepts. Electrical comprehension test simply assesses your ability to work with different electrical concepts, and there's a memory test too, which determines how accurately you can remember and recall information. Now, the best three pieces of advice I can give you are: practice lots of test questions. Okay, don't worry if you're not very good at test questions or you didn't do very well at school. You can still pass this test and get really high marks by carrying out lots of targeted practice test questions. Another important tip is to actually practice under time conditions. What you don't want to do is to go along to sit the AST and you turn up and this is the first time that you've done it under time conditions. Put yourself under pressure at home and practice under time conditions and keep improving your scores as you go along. And also aim for speed as well as accuracy. You don't want to be going through and guessing, because as I mentioned on the work rate test, they're looking to see how accurate your work is. Okay, so don't go guessing. You can make informed guesses if you've looked through and you're running out of time, but you don't want to be just going through and guessing loads of questions, because the chances are you'll get loads of them wrong. So aim for speed as well as accuracy. So the first part of the test, we're going to have a look at some simple verbal reasoning questions. So I'm going to present you with a number of different flats, okay, and then we're going to look at a question based on it. Now, I've put this question up here in front of you, and you can see there's a massive information, which for a lot of people is confusing. I want to give you a really good tip to help you tackle this kind of question. So it says here, there's some information. Flat A is located in a town. It's 12 miles from the nearest train station. It's got 2 bedrooms. So if you sat there and read all of this information, not only is it going to take you a long time, but it's going to be confusing. So the best way to actually tackle the question is to read this first and then disseminate the information you need from all of the combined flats. Okay, so it says you want a flat that is within 10 miles of the nearest train station and is located on the first or lower floor. The combined monthly rent or council tax bill must be no greater than £600. Which flat are you going to choose? Now, the best way to prepare or go through this kind of question is to take one particular part first of all, and then use a process of elimination to get rid of the flats that are not relevant. So the first part of information we can use is you want a flat that is within 10 miles of the nearest train station. So let's just take that information. So if we go through flat A, it's 12 miles from the station, so we can eliminate straight away that. Flat B is located in the city, it's just 2 miles from the station, so it could be flat B. Flat C is located in the city centre. This is 3 miles, so it could be flat C. Flat D, it says, is 18 miles from the station, so it's not D. And then also flat E, it says it's 12 miles. So that doesn't fall within our criteria of 10 miles from the nearest train station. Okay, so we already have eliminated with just one piece of information. You want a flat that's within 10 miles. We've eliminated 3 of them already. So it's either flat B or flat C. Now it says the combined monthly rent must be no greater than £600, and it should also be located on the first floor or lower. Okay, so if we go through now, it says the monthly rental 450, sorry, we know it's flat B or flat C, so the monthly rental is 600 and the council tax is 130, so we can eliminate that because that's over the price threshold, okay, of no more than 600. And also here, the monthly rental is 550 and the council tax is 100, so that takes us to 650. So actually, the answer is E, none of the above, because none of them fit into that criteria. Okay, so the answer to that question, you want a flat that's within 10 miles of the nearest train station, located on the first floor or lower. The combined monthly rent and council tax bill must be no greater than £600. None of them fall into that category, so it's E, none of the above. So that's question 1. Question 2, you want a flat that has at least 2 bedrooms and has a combined monthly rent or council tax bill that does not exceed £450. Okay, so it doesn't exceed £450. So if we go back again, just to recap, at least 2 bedrooms and no more than £450. So you can see here that flat A is no good because it's £450 plus £50 for council tax takes it to £500. Flat B is definitely not in because it's £600 plus £130. Flat C, £550 plus £100, that's no good either. And then if we look at flat D, it says £395 plus £100, that doesn't work either. But then if we look at this one, okay, flat E, it says the monthly rental is £375 and the council tax is 62. So is that within our criteria? Yes, it is. Therefore, it's flat E. Okay, you want a flat that has at least 2 bedrooms combined, no more than £450. Well, that fits into it, but this has 3 bedrooms as well, so that fits. At least 2 bedrooms. The answer there is flat E. Okay, so that's verbal reasoning. Now, the type of verbal reasoning you will get will be tougher than that. And again, I'm going to give you some sample practice papers to download that will be on a par with the kind of questions that you're going to get. Okay, let's move on to mechanical comprehension during the RAF Airman test. Let's have a look at this diagram here. You can see it says which chain will support the load on its own. Now the load is here and it is forcing downwards. So we want either chain A, chain B or chain C on its own to support the load. If you think about it, chain C on its own there would not support the load and it would allow that just to drop to the floor. The weight would drop to the floor. The same with A, because this is where the weight is being distributed, it's coming down, so A would not work, so we actually want B. That's the only chain that will support the load on its own. So the answer to that question, which chain will support the load on its own, is question B. Okay, let's have a look at another kind of mechanical comprehension test question. If wheel A rotates anti-clockwise, which way and how will B rotate? Okay, so what we have to do here is, first of all, understand the difference between anti-clockwise and clockwise, and the best way to do that is that clockwise, if you think about the way the hands go around on a clock, that is clockwise, anti-clockwise is the other way. Okay, and I've put that in the diagram for you to show you there that that's anti-clockwise. So A is going to rotate this way, which means that C will go this way. B will therefore also go anti-clockwise, but because it is smaller than A, it will rotate anti-clockwise faster. So the answer to that question is C. Let's have a look at this electrical kind of test. When the switch is closed, how many bulbs will illuminate when bulb 3, this one, is removed? So they're going to take out bulb 3, but it says here when the switch is closed. So the switch is open at the minute, which means none of the bulbs will be illuminated. So that's the switch. So when it's closed and that comes down and makes the circuit, 3 will be gone. So how many of the bulbs will illuminate? Well, 4 will not illuminate because that, with the bulb taken out at 3, means the circuit cannot be made. So the only ones that would be illuminated are number 1 and 2. So how many bulbs will illuminate? And the answer is C, because 2 of them, number 1 and 2, are the only ones that will illuminate. Let's now take a look at a numerical reasoning question that forms part of the RAF Airman test. A woman earns a salary of £32,000 a year. How much would she earn in 15 years' time? So the way that we need to tackle this question is 15 years times £32,000 equals a simple question there, and the answer is C, £480,000. Okay, so 15 years times £32,000. Next question. Ellie spends 3 hours on the phone talking to her friend abroad. If the call costs 12 pence per 5 minutes, how much does the call cost in total? So the first step we have to do is how many 5 minutes are there in 3 hours? Okay, so we work that out. How many 5 minutes are there in 3 hours? Step 2, multiply that number by 12 to get your answer. So there are 12 5 minutes in every hour, which means there are a total of 36 5 minutes in 3 hours. Therefore, 36 times 12 equals 432, which is B. £4.32 is the correct answer. Here's another one. So we're getting slightly more complex now. A worker is required to work for 8 hours a day. He is entitled, lucky man, to 3 20-minute breaks and also 1 hour lunch break during that 8-hour period. If he works for 5 days per week, how many hours will he have worked after 4 weeks? I'll repeat that. A worker is required to work for 8 hours a day. He is entitled to 3 20-minute breaks and also 1 hour lunch break during that 8-hour period. If he works for 5 days per week, how many hours will he have worked after 4 weeks? So what we have to do is work out how many hours in total he works, then subtract the breaks from the total hours worked to reach our answer. So total hours worked, 8 hours per day times 5 days per week times 4 weeks equals 160 hours. Then take the breaks off, so it's 2 hours per day because he gets 3 20-minute breaks, which add up to an hour. And then he also gets the lunch breaks, that's 2 hours per day times 5 days per week times 4 weeks equals 40. So the answer is 120 hours. The correct answer is C. Okay, let's have a look at a work rate test. This is slightly different now to what we've been looking at so far. So if we look at these sort of this chart here, we've got a selection of numbers and symbols and then letters across the bottom, and they can be mixed up. But it says here, which of the answers below, A, B, C or D, is an alternative to the code S87? So we have to then look along here and see that S is in the first column, 8 is in the first one as well, and 7 is in the second column. Okay, so they have to be in the same order. So we're looking for something which is an alternative to the code S87. So the first alternative needs to come from the first column. The second one, the 8, also needs to come from the first column. And the third one, 7, needs to come from the second column. So we're looking for alternatives here. So we're looking for an alternative code. So if we look at S, well, it could be A because 8 forms part of the first one. It's definitely not H because there's no H in the first column. It's definitely not C because that isn't in there. And it certainly isn't T either. So the answer is A. Okay, because you can see there, you've got 8, you've got the square as well, and then E, which is in the second column. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. S87, the first two alternatives need to come for the first one, which 8 does there, and then the square does as well, and E needs to come from the second one because 7's in there as well, so the answer to that question is A. Let's have a look at another one of these kind of questions, the work rate questions. Which of the answers below is an alternative to the code YEF and in that sequence? So Y, E and F. So the first one needs to come from the second column. E, the alternative needs to come from the third for the second one, and then finally from the first one. So if you start on the first one, we're looking for any of these three, okay, as an alternative to YEF. So we start here. If we start on A, it could be A because 4 is in there. It could also be B because that one's in there. And it could also be C because 4 is in there as well. And it could also be D because the triangle that's pointing to the right is in there as well. So at the moment, with the first alternatives, it could be any of them. Let's have a look at the second one, an alternative to E. So we're looking for any one in the third column. Well, it certainly could be A as well because we've got the downward pointing triangle in there. It could also be B because 8 is in there. It could also be C because 8 is in there. And it could also be D as well because the triangle pointing downwards is in there as well. So we're still left after the first two alternative columns with all four options. So it hinges on the last one. So if you look at F on the first column, we're looking for any of those that fall into the final one. Well, it's not A because 1 doesn't form in there. It's not B because 4 is not in there either. It's not C, it's D because 2 is in the first column. So the answer to that one is D. So you have to work through them quickly, and this is why you're realizing You have to carry out lots of practice with this to work through quickly the selected options. Let's have a look at another one. Which of the answers below is an alternative to the code 178? Okay, so it's the last column, then it's the first, and then the second. So hopefully you're getting the hang of this now. So the first column, if we look at A, it could be A. It could even be B because Z's in there. It could even be C because the triangle's in there. But it isn't D because that triangle pointed to the right doesn't feature in that first column. So at the moment, it's either A, B, or C. Then if we go to the first one, 7. So we're looking for the second one here. It could be A because A is in there. It could also be B because we've got the downward triangle in there. And it could also be C because A is in there as well. So we're looking for the final one, which is 8. So could it be A? No, because 3 is not in there. So the answer to that one is C, because you can see there that the B is in the second column there. Okay, so that's the work rate questions. Let's have a look at some spatial reasoning test questions as well. So if we look at this, we're presented across the top with 3 shapes, and they've got letters corresponding to a certain side on each letter. So you've got the rectangle, you've got the triangle, and another smaller rectangle. So it's our job to place the corresponding sides of the shapes on each one and then visualize which shape from A, B, C, D, or E makes up this shape when they're all put together. So you have to do it in your head, okay? So you have to visualize what they look like. So if you look at A here, this is the correct answer. If we put this triangle on that side where it's asking us to with the corresponding letters A, and then we put B next to there, that is the only shape that fits. So that's the correct answer. Let's have a look at another one, a more complex one. So you can see there that we've got an upright small rectangle, we've got a horizontal rectangle with B there, and then we've got another triangle shape, okay, with B there. So we'd have to put this across there and then turn that around and put it on there. So you have to move the shapes around. So if we take this shape there, and then we put this shape onto it, onto the end there, the vertical triangle, that's how that would look if A corresponding to that point is on that shape there, and then B is placed there. So that's the one that we're looking for. So the correct answer is D. Do not get it confused with B, because it could be quite easy to look at this, and that's where you would make the mistake, because you would put that small vertical rectangle below the higher one, which is the horizontal one there. So you could be mistaken for getting B, but the correct answer is D. Let's have a look at a memory test now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at all of these different letters and study them. Okay, so I want to give you 30 seconds to study these. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds on this time, and you'll see it go down. I want you to study this. So when you're studying for a memory test, you need to look and count how many, for example, lowercase, how many A's there are, how many Q's there are, how many W's there are, and you won't know the questions until afterwards. So I'm going to press the timer, and you've got 30 seconds to study this sequence of letters, and then you'll be asked 3 questions based on it. So the timer's starting to click down now. So just study it, and then I'll take it off the screen and ask you some questions. So hopefully you're beginning to realize how important it is to carry out lots of practice time questions. Put yourself under pressure, under real exam pressure, and you will get higher scores, trust me. So we're counting down our last 5 seconds. So then that will disappear, okay? And these are the questions. So tell me, how many capital letters were there in the sequence? How many lowercase non-capital letters were there in that sequence? And also, how many letter Q's were there in the sequence? So with regards to the capital letters, there were 3 capital letters. With regards to lowercase, there were 4 lowercase letters, and then there was just 1 Q. So I'll put that sequence back up there so you can see there's 3 capital letters. How did you get on with that? And then there's 4 lowercase, 1, 2, 3, 4 lowercase. So it's quite difficult, that test. It seems really simple, but you don't know what you're studying for during the memory test. So you just have to look at it and work out what kind of questions you could get asked. This is a different kind of memory test. Now, what I want you to do is to study these grids for 10 seconds only, and then decide from the options, the 4 options that I'm going to give you, which grid contains the collective group of coloured squares from the grids. So you'd be looking to put all of these together in just one grid. So you'd have that square there, the coloured square. You'd put these two there. You'd put this one up there and that one there. And then you'd decide which shape it was. So you can see there, if we do that in our heads, option 1 from all the 4 selected here is the correct answer, because we've got that black square there, we put these 2 here, we've got this one there, and then this one at the top. So that's the only option there. So I'm now going to give you 10 seconds to study this, and I'm then going to give you 4 options. So the timer's on the right, and you'll see that go down. I'll be quiet for the 10 seconds so you can study it, and then I'll give you the 4 options to decide which makes up the collective group of coloured squares. Okay, so now, which is the correct answer? The correct answer is B. Let's take a look at another one. So again, study the grids for 10 seconds only, then decide from the 4 options available which grid contains the collective group of coloured squares from the grid. You've got 10 seconds. So I'll just leave that up for you to decide which is the correct answer. So it's recalling your memory, and the correct answer is A. Okay, so I've got loads more I want to give you. I hope you found that video helpful. Like I say, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Put your comments below if you want me to do any more videos. But if you want more RAF Airman practice papers, please do click the link below the video right now. Take you through to my website. I'll quickly show you the website. So it'll take you through to this page where you can get all of these test questions and answers. Okay, you can download all of the test questions. There's loads of different ones. You've got electrical comprehension. We give you loads, and you can also get access as well, free for 30 days, online tests. So you can download this booklet, so you can start learning now, but you'll also get free access for 30 days to online RAF Airman tests as well that you can practice. So yeah, please click the link below the video and have a look at that web page, and you can carry on your learning for the RAF Airman test. I hope you found that video useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all the very best in your pursuit to joining the Royal Air Force.